Part 32. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 311. At 4:30 in the morning, they boarded the helicopter again. I can sleep a little longer. After the plane took off, Murong Cheng hugged her into his arms, wrapped them in a thick blanket, and kissed her again. Sleep, I'll take you to school later. Mu Zi is very obedient, nestling in his arms without moving. Flying at high altitude on a cold winter night is very cold. Even though she was wearing a thick coat, Mu Zi didn't want to ask for trouble, so she docilely leaned against Murong Cheng's arms to keep warm. Just after finding out the clues, she felt that everything became clear. She was a little excited, so she couldn't fall asleep. Was that person a hacker just now? Mu Zi chatted with Murong Cheng, feeling very emotional. Without him, we would have to investigate for at least a month before we can find out these results. Well, although I'm not a top hacker, it should be more than enough to help you investigate the case, Murong Cheng said. I bought the company I gave you from this person. Ah, Mu Zi was surprised. It's such a good company, why sell it if it's so good? Even if you don't do anything, you can make a lot of money every month. That's how he is. He invests money to open a small investigation company, then sells it at a high price to cash out, and when the money is almost spent, he starts another company and sells it, Murong Cheng said. Mu Zi was speechless. What kind of lifestyle is this? Why doesn't he have a higher pursuit? Mu Zi really couldn't understand. He has the ability and resources, and he can obviously make a company bigger. What about after growing up? Murong Cheng asked her with a smile. Mu Zi was at a loss for words, thought for a while, and said hesitantly, after becoming bigger, can I make more money? Murong Cheng laughed loudly. Silly baby, he's already earning a lot of money now. Mu Zi was annoyed. She always seemed stupid in front of Murong Cheng. Murong Cheng rubbed her head, and said, what people are looking for is relaxation. How easy it is. The bigger the company is, the more energy and time it takes, and he is more willing to play games at home. Mu Zi was silent. Murong Cheng said again, my pursuit is you, Zizi. We will have 3 children in the future, okay? I want 3 daughters. They must be very cute when they are well dressed. Mu Zi closed her eyes and pretended to be asleep, not wanting to talk to him anymore. This guy really started to fall ill after chatting for a few words, and he missed the child even before he got married. Besides, which identity is he going to use to marry her? Murong Cheng is her brother. Master Rong has a fiancé. Still want to have a baby? Is it an illegitimate child? Off, go dreaming. Mu Zi pretended to be asleep at first, but later she fell asleep in a daze. The helicopter landed on the top floor of Walker Royal Hotel, and all the toiletries and breakfast were prepared in advance. Mu Zi was woken up by Murong Cheng, dazed, went to brush her teeth and wash her face, and then had breakfast. Murong Cheng personally sent her to school, and the car arrived at Grey School at just the right time. There was an endless stream of parents, students, luxury cars, and celebrities at the school gate. Wang Zilong's eyes were sharp, and he immediately saw Murong Cheng and Mu Zi talking beside the car, and was immediately excited. He didn't dare to go forward to disturb him. Seeing his uncle smoking a cigarette not far away, he leaned over to say hello. Uncle, why are you free today? Come personally to see Miss Mu to class. Wang Zhan smiled and squinted at him. What's the fun? I dare to inquire about my master's affairs. Wang Zilong smiled doggedly. I care. Master Rong and Miss Mu have a good relationship, and I am happy to see it. Wang Zhan took a puff of cigarette, and said in a neutral tone, it's okay. Recently, just a few days ago, I don't know which bastard leaked the news, let Miss Mu know about Lord Rong's fiancé, and the two had a quarrel. Very stiff. Wang Zilong's expression froze. Uncle, Miss Mu, didn't she know about Master Rong's fiancé? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 312. He thought Muzi I knew. People with Master Rong's identity, don't they all put on a woman in the open, and keep their own hearts in secret? Okay. You pig-headed, Wang Zhan blew a puff of smoke on his face, will you chase your girlfriend and get married early? Ah. What's more, this is not an ex, but a fiancé. Can you mention it? Wang Zilong choked, he wanted to say that he would mention, and be proud of it, why does his ex prove his charm? Talking about his fiancé, Wang Zhan had a headache and complained to his little nephew while smoking a cigarette. Master Rong suspected that Miss Mu overheard something when she went to the Gu family. The grandchildren of the Gu family are really idle. What are you doing talking about our master's marriage? It's bad luck. Yes, he. Wang Zilong felt guilty, and his eyes couldn't help but glance towards Mu Zi and Murong Cheng. Wang Zhan saw that his expression was wrong, and said suspiciously, "Stinky boy, you must have leaked the news, right?" "Me?" Wang Zilong straightened his back suddenly, "How dare I, uncle? I would never dare to reveal the slightest secret of such important military affairs." Wang Zhan stared at him carefully for more than 10 seconds, "It's really not you." "Really not?" Wang Zilong shook his head firmly. "It's fine if it's not." Wang Zhan felt relieved, and threw the cigarette butt into the trash can, "Otherwise, Master Rong will tear your bones out, and I won't be able to save you." Wang Zilong's legs trembled, and he said with a stiff smile, "Uncle, class is about to start, I'll go in first." "Hurry up, I have been repeated for 2 years, can you give me some courage to graduate next year? If I don't graduate, I won't have the face to burn paper for your parents." "Hey, I got it. Wang Zilong felt that he had walked past the gate of Hades Hall. 2 days later, when it was time for the trial again, Mu Zi had no choice but to ask the teacher for leave again. She has good grades, keeps a low profile and doesn't cause trouble, and the teachers of all subjects like her, so she was approved for leave smoothly, but she just told Mu Zi that the final exam is coming soon, so she should concentrate on studying. Mu Zi nodded in agreement. She already knew who the murderer was. The evidence was conclusive. Today's trial must have gone smoothly. If it ended early, she might be able to catch up with the last self-study class. Mu Zi thought so in her heart. When she arrived at the court, she found that many journalists surrounded the gate of the court. They surrounded Chu Mingjun and kept asking questions. "Lawyer Chu, Gu's group disbanded the gold medal lawyer team and hired you to defend Gu Shao. Does it mean that your ability is far superior to the lawyer team? The case of Gu Shao has been delayed for several months. What is your strategy today? Are you sure of winning? It is rumored that the witnesses in this case are suspected of perjury in court. Has the investigation result come out? If the perjury is confirmed, how will it affect the judgment of this case? Reporters, every word you say to me is going to drive Chu Mingjun crazy." In the end, it was Lin Lin, the little girl at the front desk, who rescued Chu Mingjun. She blocked the reporter's mic and opened a way for Chu Mingjun. "Excuse me, Mr. Chu needs to prepare for the trial now. Your questions will end at the end of the trial. I got a reply later, thank you for your cooperation." Chu Mingjun was very moved. After fleeing into the court, he gratefully held Lin Lin's hand. "Lin Lin. Fortunately, I have you today." Lin Lin did a good job. Mu Zi walked in and praised her with a smile. Lin Lin frowned, smiled, and said, "I'm used to doing this kind of thing. Every time an advertiser comes to the company, I block it." Chu Mingjun once again affirmed, "Very good. I will give you a raise when I go back." Lin Lin smiled even more happily, "The boss is so kind and generous." Mu Zi also laughed. The three of them were talking. Inadvertently, Mu Ziyi saw Xiao Jingjia looking at them not far away. The other party's gloomy eyes made Mu Ziyi's heart tremble slightly. She subconsciously frowned, thinking, will today's trial really go well? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 313. Mu Ziyi has a certain understanding of Xiao Jingjia. Leaving aside workability for the time being, Xiao Jingjia is actually very resilient for what she wants. She can always try her best to get what she wants, regardless of means. She calculated every step of the way, tried every means, finally became a prosecutor, and was about to get the approval of Mayor Xiao, but she fell short because of Mu Ziyi. This time the lawsuit happened by chance. Will it be hindered because of grudges? Mu Ziyi thinks this is very likely. A group of people walked into the court and sat down. Seeing Mu Ziyi contemplating something, Chu Mingjun couldn't help asking, "What's wrong? What are you thinking?" Mu Ziyi regained consciousness and asked him, "Are you all ready?" "Ready." Chu Mingjun nodded. "I reviewed the questions to be asked and how to present them last night. Now the identification report is missing." "Is the appraisal report out yet?" Mu Ziyi faintly felt something was wrong. "Hurry up, the report will be delivered soon." "I'll ask Lin Lin to wait at the door," Chu Mingjun said. "This is already the fastest speed. In the past, those appraisal agencies had to wait at least a week for the results." Mu Ziyi glanced at the prosecution seat. Xiao Jingjia sat upright beside Yu Yang, sorting out the materials to be used in the trial, with a calm and indifferent expression. Mu Ziyi is suspicious. Will Xiao Jingjia make a move? "Send Lin Lin a message and tell her to be more careful," Mu Ziyi said to Chu Mingjun beside him. "Oh, good." Hearing this, Chu Mingjun picked up the phone. It's right to be careful with such crucial evidence. At this point, the trial officially began. Because the key point last time was whether Qin Jun's testimony was credible, so this time the prosecution will speak first. Yu Yang showed the judge and jury the meteorological satellite cloud image on the day of the incident, confirming that there were indeed clouds in Xinjiang City that day, but judging from the coverage of the cloud, the angle of direct sunlight at 7 o'clock, and various factors, Qin Jun could see the possibility of seeing the indoor situation of the apartment opposite is extremely low. The judge appreciated prosecutor Yu Yang's rigorous attitude, and announced in court that Tan Jun's testimony had no basis for reference. Mu Ziyi deliberately observed Xiao Jingjia's expression, and saw that there was a faint smile on the corner of her mouth, and her eyes were moving, as if her mind was not on the trial at all. Mu Ziyi frowned. What exactly does Xiao Jingjia want to do? At this time, the judge asked, "Does the prosecutor need to ask?" "Yes, the prosecution wants to question Guyan, the suspect in this case," Yu Yang replied. Chu Mingjun was suddenly nervous. He wants to ask Guyan. Guyan's bastard behavior is known to almost everyone. Murong Cheng's reputation outside is also bad, but at most he can be regarded as indolent and flirtatious, but Guyan is really obscene and sick. It is said that the women who followed him were all sick in the end. If Guyan's answer is out of line and arouses public outrage, it is very likely that the jury will find Guyan guilty in anger. "Don't panic, take a look first before talking," Mu Ziyi comforted him. Yet Chu Mingjun took a deep breath, comforting himself. It's okay, as long as the identification report is delivered, it can prove that the murderer is someone else. Mu Ziyi was silent, always feeling some bad premonition. Yu Yang asked Guyan in the dock, "Please describe what you and the deceased Wu Xinhan did in her apartment on the night of the incident." Guyan's attitude was very arrogant, and he replied in a frivolous tone, "Bai." Everyone was in an uproar. Yu Yang's expression remained unchanged, and he asked again, "Please describe the process in detail. What actions did you perform on Ms. Wu Xinhan? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Hua Liao. Chapter 314. Gu Yan was very impatient and felt that Yu Yang was deliberately embarrassing himself, so his tone was very rude. Mr. Prosecutor, have you never had sex? Do you need me to teach you how to do it? Bang, bang. The judge's gavel sounded. Prisoners are asked to pay attention to court discipline and speak seriously. Chu Mingjun couldn't bear to look directly at him, and lowered his voice to complain to Mu Zi next to him. What is he going to do? Don't you think that your impression in the eyes of the jury and the judge is not bad enough? You are digging your own grave. Mu Zi also frowned. Although he already knew that Gu Yan was not a good person, hearing these obscenities with his own ears really affected his mood. Gu Yan was warned by the judge, restrained himself a little, and said in a cold voice, I took off her clothes. Of course, she also took off mine. She said she wanted to play something exciting, and took out some interesting props from the drawer. So the deceased asked to have sex with you? Mr. Gu Yan, did you refuse at that time? Yu Yang asked. Why don't you eat the meat that reaches your mouth? Everyone knows that I like this one. When I saw her preparing those things, I knew what she wanted to do. It's what you want. Who knows that she will die in the end? Gu Yan curling his lips, he cursed bad luck in a low voice. Yu Yang asked, it seems that Wu Xinhan's death surprised you. Mr. Gu Yan, when you strangled the other party's neck, didn't you think that she might suffocate to death? Gu Yan choked for a while, turned his face away with a stiff expression, and said in a blunt tone, I never thought about it. Why didn't you think about it? Yu Yang asked urgently. Any normal person who is strangled will be unconscious in 3 to 5 minutes, and will die in 5 to 10 minutes. I think this should be common sense. Gu Yan was irritable. At that time, I was so excited, who would think about these things? There was a slight commotion in the courtroom, and buzzing voices erupted one after another. Yu Yang slightly raised his voice, and asked, so in that situation, even if you accidentally strangled Wu Xinhan to death, you wouldn't be able to notice it, would you, Mr. Gu Yan? Gu Yan's face paled. Objection, Chu Mingjun couldn't bear it anymore. I object to the prosecution's inducing questioning of my client. Yu Yang turned around unhurriedly, faced the judge, and said, Gu Yan drank alcohol with the deceased Wu Xinhan on the day of the case. Under the influence of alcohol, it is very likely that his behavior was excessive and caused Wu Xinhan's death. We still insist on the trial of the first instance. It is believed that Gu Yan was negligent in causing death. Gu Yan in the dock got angry, stood up suddenly and shouted, is there any mistake? She sprayed me all over, how could she die? I don't have a habit of killing corpses. The bailiff pressed Gu Yan back to his seat, and the courtroom was full of uproar, and all the jurors showed expressions of disgust. Gu Yan's words were disgusting, and everyone's impression of him was extremely bad. Chu Mingjun wanted to dig a hole and bury himself. Why would he defend this scumbag? So hurt. Silence, the judge kept hitting the gavel, silence, silence. The gavel was struck several times, and the scene finally calmed down. However, the condemning eyes of the jury members followed everywhere, and Chu Mingjun felt a lot of pressure. Don't panic, Mu Zi softly reminded Chu Mingjun. Chu Mingjun wiped the sweat from his forehead, and nodded slightly. Well, we still have the identification report, and we can definitely reverse the case. Why hasn't Lin Lin come back yet? Mu Zi was also worried that something might go wrong with Lin Lin, so she thought about it and said to him, you ask the person concerned first, I'll go out and have a look. Okay. Chu Mingjun tried his best to calm down. You go, it doesn't matter if you are late, I will apply for a judicial appraisal to the judge and postpone the retrial. Mu Zi nodded, and when she got up to leave, she saw Xiao Jingjia gently brushing the black hair on her temples on the opposite side of the seat. with a sneer on the corner of her mouth. Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 315. Mu Zi's heart skipped a beat, secretly feeling something was wrong. Did Xiao Jingjie really tamper with the appraisal report? Mu Zi was a little uncertain. Her intuition thought that Xiao Jingjie had some intentions, but from a rational point of view, this was really a very stupid act. Even if the appraisal report is unusable, Chu Mingjun can still apply for a reappraisal. This lawsuit will win sooner or later, it's just a matter of time. Xiao Jingjie's obstruction was meaningless. Was it just to make her lose face in the lawsuit today, so she went to great lengths to destroy the appraisal report? Why did Xiao Jingjie do this? Mu Zi's mind was fluttering, and she hurried out with a calm face, but it was still a step too late. At the bottom of the long steps at the gate of the court, a group of people had already gathered, and the guard at the gate of the court was calling the emergency center. Mu's heart skipped a beat, and she hurried down the stairs, squeezed into the crowd, and saw Lin Lin sitting on the ground in pain, her face pale. Lin Lin, Mu Zi was surprised. Are you injured? What happened? Lin Lin was in so much pain that she bit her lower lip and breathed in. Someone beside her answered for her. Just now someone rushed over and knocked the little girl off the stairs. She fell so hard. Fortunately, there are no such high steps. Hit your head. Lin Lin said, Miss Mu, what should I do? He snatched my bag. The appraisal report is still in the bag. She was so anxious that she was about to cry. Mu Zi immediately comforted him. When things are gone, they are gone. People are the most important thing. Where did you fall? My leg hurts so bad I can't move it. Maybe it's broken. Don't move for now, bear with it, the ambulance will be here soon. Lin Lin bit her lip and nodded. Beads of sweat rolled down her forehead, obviously in severe pain. Mu Zi suddenly felt that even though she had witnessed many ugliness, she still thought of people too kindly. She thought that Xiao Jingjie would steal, exchange, and block Lin Lin, but she didn't expect Xiao Jingjie to be harmful to others. Just to embarrass Mu Zi, Xiao Jingjie is so vicious. Pushing down such a high step may only cause skin and flesh abrasions, but if you fall to your head or spine, you may suffer from fractures and disabilities. Anger rose in Mu Zi's heart. She couldn't forgive Xiao Jingjie for what she did. The ambulance arrived quickly, and Mu Zi sent Lin Lin to the car. She stood at the gate of the courthouse and watched the ambulance leave, feeling as if waves were hitting Jiaoyan in her heart, angry and anxious. Without the appraisal report, how could she get Tan Jun convicted? Applying for judicial identification, continue to delay the time. Mu Zi turned around and walked into the court, step by step up the steps. Every time she went up, her heart sank a little. When she walked into the courtroom, her emotions had completely settled and she regained her composure. Chu Mingjun was asking Guyan some questions in an attempt to help him improve the jury's impression, but no one paid attention to Mu Zi. She quietly sat back in her seat, turned her head, and met Xiao Jingjie's slightly provocative gaze. Xiao Jingjie was very proud. Her eyes were not only provocative, but also contemptuous. And Mu Zi's eyes were deep, without sullenness or impatience, as calm as a deep pool of water in the middle of the night, without a single ripple. Where's the appraisal report? Chu Mingjun secretly winked at Mu Zi between asking questions. Mu Zi didn't speak, opened a laptop in front of her, and typed a few paragraphs in the document. Chu Mingjun looked at it, and his face changed drastically. This, can it work? He was extremely nervous. Mu Zi continued to communicate with him by typing. Chu Mingjun looked at it, gritted his teeth in pain. Okay, since you said so, let me try. At this time, the judge asked, the defense lawyer, is the questioning over? Chu Mingjun stretched out his hand and tugged on his tie to relieve his tension, and he stood up and replied, "Your Honor, I would like to invite Mr. Chin Jun to testify in court." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 316. Chu Mingjun said that he would ask Chin Jun to testify in court. After he finished speaking, the trial scene was silent, and all kinds of strange eyes were projected over, with inquiries. Even the prosecutor Yu Yang looked this way suspiciously. The judge reminded him, "Defense lawyer, you need to know that Tan Jun involved perjury, so his testimony may not be accepted by this court." "Yes, I know," Chu Mingjun calmly said. "We have discovered new clues in this case, which need to be verified by Mr. Chin Jun, so we request the court to allow Mr. Chin Jun to testify in court." Hearing this, the judge nodded and said, "The witness, Chin Jun, is invited to testify in court." The corners of Qiao Jingjia's mouth curled up slightly, evoking an imperceptible smile. She felt that Mu Ziyi was at the end of his rope, so she wanted to repeat the old trick and turn the witness into a murderer. Ever since it was reported in the news that Ming Jun law firm took over Gu Er Shao's case, Qiao Jingjia knew that Mu Ziyi must be involved. She quietly followed Chu Mingjun, and found that he went to a pet foster care center, and then went to a highly qualified appraisal center. Qiao Jingjia contacted him back and forth, and she guessed about the matter. Mu Ziyi wanted to rely on the identification report to turn things around. How could Qiao Jingjia make her proud? This is Gu Er Shao's case. Winning the lawsuit is equivalent to showing his face in front of Gu Shao. What a credit! Maybe she has a good fortune for a while and is favored by young Master Gu. From then on, she can enjoy endless glory and wealth. How could such a good thing happen to Mu Ziyi? So Qiao Jingjia found someone and waited at the gate of the court, waiting for an opportunity to snatch the identification report. Throw it away, destroy it, whatever, anyway, you can't let Mu Ziyi get that report. When Mu Ziyi loses the lawsuit, he will lose credibility in front of young Master Gu, and second, young Master Gu will also vent his anger on Mu Ziyi. The Gu family can even disband the gold medal lawyer team, let alone a small Mingjun law firm. I'm afraid it will be crushed into the dust, and there will be no more waves. At that time, why should Mu Ziyi be afraid? Qiao Jingjia almost wanted to applaud her wit. With just one move, she can completely defeat Mu Ziyi. However, if Yu Yang really wins the lawsuit, it will also offend Gu Shi. She has to find a way to get herself out of this matter. With a slight thought, the smile on Qiao Jingjia's face became wider. She can use the clues found by Mu Ziyi to sell favors to young Master Gu. As long as Gu Shao can support her, who else in Xinjiang would dare to look down on her? The joy in Qiao Jingjia's heart overflowed from her eyes, and her face seemed to be coated with a layer of brilliance, which was extremely radiant. At this time, Chin Jun appeared in court again as a witness. Chu Mingjun was not in a hurry to ask questions. He carefully read the text on the computer twice before taking a deep breath and slowly getting up. "Mr. Chin Jun, during the last trial, you claimed that you saw Ms. Wu Xinhan sitting up from the bed through the glass window, but the prosecutor thought that under the weather conditions at that time, it was impossible for you to see the situation in the opposite room. Now, do you still stick to your point of view?" Chu Mingjun asked. Chin Jun replied, "Yes, I saw it at that time." Chu Mingjun asked again, "Assuming you really saw it, then, according to what you said, after Wu Xinhan sat up, she lay down again after a while. How can you be sure that she fell asleep instead of fainting?" "Mr. Chin Jun, did you see the expression on Wu Xinhan's face at that time?" Tan Jun replied, "She was lying on her stomach, I didn't see it." "That's strange." Chu Mingjun raised his hand and touched his chin, the deceased was indeed lying on his stomach when he was found, but prosecutor Yu Yang said that under the lighting conditions at that time, it was impossible for you to see what was going on in the room. That being the case, how did you know that Wu Xinhan was lying on her stomach? Could it be, you were in the room at that time? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 317. Chu Mingjun's words were like a stone thrown into a calm lake, causing huge splashes. Everyone was shocked by this turn of events and looked at Chu Mingjun in astonishment, wondering why he suddenly pointed the finger at the witness. Qiao Jingjia had a sneer on her face. She had already experienced this trick, and now Chu Mingjun was doing it again, which made her feel extremely ridiculous. She turned sideways slightly, and whispered to Yu Yang beside her, "Should we object to the defense's groundless accusations against witnesses?" Yu Yang frowned, stared at the front solemnly, and replied coldly, "How do you know it's an unwarranted accusation?" Qiao Jingjia choked, suppressed her anger, and sat back down again. Do not know good and bad things. She hated Yang's reticent appearance, as if he was detached from the world. How impartial and selfless he was. Really hateful. On the other side, facing Chu Mingjun's question, Tan Jun smiled sarcastically. What do you mean by that? I'm a witness, are you implying that I'm the murderer? Tan Jun squinted at Chu Mingjun arrogantly, Mr. Lawyer, everything you say in court is based on evidence. Ah, speaking of evidence, what a coincidence, we did just discover a new piece of evidence. Chu Mingjun lifted up the Ziploc bag with a handkerchief on the table. We found a handkerchief in the closet of Wu Xinhan's room. The uppercase letter QJ is printed on the handkerchief, which exactly matches Mr. Qin Jun's initials. Tan Jun's face paled a little, and then he shouted sharply, "This is slander. That handkerchief doesn't belong to me at all, please don't spitting blood. It's not yours." Chu Mingjun looked innocent, "But, I saw you wiping your glasses with the handkerchief just now, and it's exactly the same as the handkerchief I'm holding." "Impossible," Qin Jun retorted, "my handkerchief is custom made, made of West Indian Sea Island cotton, bound with mulberry silk, 100% pure natural fiber fabric, and it is not sold outside. I have never the habit of leaving your name on the handkerchief. Lawyers, please keep your eyes open and see clearly, don't just buy a handkerchief of low-grade fabric outside, just trying to frame me." Chu Mingjun seemed to be very embarrassed, holding the Ziploc bag in his hand, hesitantly looked at the handkerchief inside, and then looked at Qin Jun. "This handkerchief, is it really not yours?" "No," Tan Jun firmly denied, "although it looks similar, it is definitely not." As he spoke, he sneered sarcastically, "Besides, my handkerchief has traces of use, and one corner has a slight scratch. I accidentally scratched it when I was cleaning my glasses. The lawyer is holding this one. I'm afraid I just bought it from outside." "Yes, you didn't even have time to cut off the trademark, did you?" "Ah." Chu Mingjun turned the Ziploc bag over, revealing a small portion of the trademark that hadn't been cut off, and immediately patted the back of his head in frustration. There were several discordant laughs at the trial site, and everyone thought Chu Mingjun was ridiculous. Satisfied, Qin Jun proudly sarcastically said, "Mr. Lawyer, if you want to help Gu Shao get rid of the crime, you should be more serious. Instead of framing me here, why don't you give me a few million more? When I feel better, I might be willing to help him take the blame." This is blatant contempt of court. Everyone was buzzing. The judge slammed the gavel heavily, the defense lawyer. Before the judge could issue a warning, Chu Mingjun quickly explained, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. The assistant took the wrong one just now, it should be this is the right one." He took another Ziploc bag from Muzi, which also contained a handkerchief. "West Indian Sea Island cotton, 100% pure natural fiber fabric, well, there is a slight scratch on one corner." Chu Mingjun repeated Tan Jun's words just now, and raised the handkerchief in front of him. If I remember correctly, you seem to have said just now that this handkerchief is custom made and is not sold outside, so can you explain why this handkerchief appeared in Wu Xinhan's wardrobe? Blessed to have each other in this life, Mu Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 318. Chu Mingjun asked with a smile, Mr. Qin Jun, you don't know Ms. Wu Xinhan, why is your handkerchief in her house? Tan Jun was proud of himself, but Chu Mingjun's question was like a bolt from the blue, knocking him into a daze. The sudden reversal caught everyone by surprise, everyone couldn't help holding their breath, and looked at Tan Jun in shock. Qin Jun's face was pale unconsciously, and a thin layer of sweat appeared on his forehead. He subconsciously took out a handkerchief from his breast pocket to wipe the sweat, but in the next instant he panicked and stuffed the handkerchief back into his pocket to hide it. I. His eyes flicked wildly, racking his brains to make up lies. I actually know Wu Xinhan. Yes, I have been to her house. This handkerchief, maybe I went to her house before. A handkerchief that was left behind when I was a guest doesn't explain anything. Oh. May I ask, when did you go to her house? Chu Mingjun glanced at Mu Zi's latest text on the computer, remembered it in his heart, and slightly raised his voice. Mr. Qin Jun, I think I need to remind, it has only been a month since you, Ms. Wu Xinhan, moved to Green Township. We can use the surveillance video to check whether you have been to her house. Qin Jun's composure was completely shattered. He was so eloquent, his lips were trembling at this moment, he couldn't speak. He has never been a guest, and it is impossible to capture him on the surveillance. Also flustered, there was Qiao Jingjia. She sat in her seat with cold sweat on her forehead. How is this going? Why took away the appraisal report and brought Musa back to life? Just by Chu Mingjun opening his mouth, the witness actually recognized the handkerchief. This shocked her so much. Mr. Qin Jun, you and Wu Xinhan don't know each other at all, but what's interesting is that Wu Xinhan's roommate Wei Shan knows you, and she once filmed a print advertisement for the company you work for. Chu Mingjun took out a house lease contract and gently placed it in front of Qin Jun. You discovered that Guyan and Wu Xinhan were in close contact, so you bought Wei Shan with money and asked Wei Shan to encourage Wu Xinhan to move into Greentown with her, and you moved into the opposite room a few days earlier than Wu Xinhan. On the night of the incident, you sneaked into Wu Xinhan's room through the window, and hid in the closet. It was summer, and you were waiting in the closet for the right time to do something. You waited for a long time, and kept sweating. You wiped your sweat with a handkerchief, but accidentally left it behind. You, making it up, Tan Jun breathed heavily and tried to argue, there are no fingerprints on my belt. You are framing me. Chu Mingjun looked at him indifferently, as if he was looking at a dying person. Tan Jun, the court records only mentioned that the deceased was suffocated by something like a leather rope around his neck. How did you know it was a belt? Qin Jun's eyes widened when he heard this. He opened his mouth to speak, but he couldn't speak clearly, and couldn't utter a word for a long time. Chu Mingjun turned around, faced the judge solemnly, and said, Tan Jun hid in the closet on the night of the incident, and waited patiently until 7 o'clock in the morning. Guyan was called away by a phone call, and Tan Jun walked out of the closet. He strangled Wu Xinhan to death in his sleep with a belt, and then escaped with the help of a big tree outside the window. The height of the surveillance cameras in Greentown was limited, so no traces of Qin Jun's crime were captured. This was a well-planned murder. There are very few traces, but as long as Wu Xinhan's roommate Wei Shan is found, the truth will be confirmed. After Chu Mingjun finished speaking, he returned to his seat and saw Mu Zi raised his thumb to him. Relieved, he smiled. Live up to the entrustment, live up to the expectations, finally relaxed. Guyan was acquitted in the second trial. At the end of the trial, everyone left one after another, chatting with each other about this reversal of the lawsuit, making it a leisurely conversation after seriousness. Yu Yang approached the defense stand, and stretched out his right hand towards Chu Mingjun. You have done a good job in this case. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, HhandsomeMaleLead. Chapter 319. Chu Mingjun was very embarrassed, and shook hands with Yu Yang. I'm looking for a job in his position, and I'm just doing my duty. Being able to do what you're supposed to do is the greatest respect for your profession. Yu Yang was unsmiling, and his words were serious. He shook hands with Chu Mingjun, then looked at Mu Ziyi, and extended his hand again. Both Chu Mingjun and Mu Ziyi were taken aback. Mu Ziyi did not expect that Yu Yang would notice her. Out of politeness, Mu Ziyi stretched out her hand. When shaking hands, Yu Yang praised solemnly, "You have also done a good job. It is very rare to remind a lawyer and screen the main points of information when it is critical." Mu Ziyi and Chu Mingjun exchanged glances and smiled in unison. After Yu Yang greeted them, he packed his things and left first. Qiao Jingjia followed behind him, holding documents and materials in her hands. With her head lowered, her face was ugly. Chu Mingjun looked at their leaving figures and sighed, "This prosecutor is really nice. He obviously lost the lawsuit, but he didn't hold any grudges against us, and even shook hands with us. Such a demeanor, such a heart, tisk tisk tisk. How strange what you said. Why does he hate us?" Mu Ziyi laughed. "The duty of the prosecutor is never to defeat the defense lawyer, but to catch the real criminal. On this point, we stand with the prosecutor and he can only thank us." "That's right." Chu Mingjun smiled embarrassedly, scratched the back of his head and said, "I was thinking about it." The two walked out of the court side by side, and saw Gu Liang and Tongwu in the hall outside. Gu Liang personally came to pick up his younger brother. Gu Yan was released in court, and the long-term aggrieved emotions were swept away. Seeing his brother coming, he was even more unconstrained, and what he said was unbearable. "Everyone knows now, right? I was framed. Brother, you must hold a press conference and help me and those reporters talking about it. I have been playing that stuff for so many years. How to play people well, how to play people to death, don't I know? SM is also an art abroad." As soon as Chu Mingjun saw Gu Yan talking nonsense, his sense of accomplishment in winning the lawsuit shrank by half, and he muttered, "I really don't know if we were right or wrong in rescuing this kind of person." At this time, the cleaning staff in the court accidentally passed by and accidentally fell down. Gu Yan stretched out his hand to help him up, and said in a nonchalant manner, "Old aunt, don't come out to work at such an age, go back to the vegetable market and dance in the square, how chic." After all, probably because I was in a good mood, I helped Aunt Cleaning pick up the mop. Seeing this scene from a distance, Mu Ziyi smiled at Chu Mingjun, jokingly said, "Look, he's not so hopeless. Let's just do our part and leave the rest to God." Chu Mingjun also laughed. It has to be said that Gu Yan's small action made Chu Mingjun feel a lot easier mentally. The journalists outside rushed in and surrounded Gu Liang and Gu Yan. Fortunately, they were escorted by many bodyguards from the Gu family, so the scene would not get out of control. Gu Liang didn't allow his younger brother to talk nonsense in front of the media, and led Gu Yan straight outside. When a sharp-eyed reporter saw Chu Mingjun, he immediately rushed over with a camera on his back. Mu Ziyi avoided it in time, turned around and went to the bathroom. She doesn't need those scenes and glory. As usual, I changed clothes in the bathroom, washed off my makeup, and came out after tidying up. No, I ran into Tongwu at the gate of the front hall of the court. Tongwu waited here on purpose. Miss Mu. Tongwu's attitude was as humble and kind as ever. "Young Master Gu treats you to dinner with Lawyer Chu, and I hope it will be a compliment." Mu Ziyi showed an apologetic smile, "Sorry, Manager Tong, I'm going to the hospital now. Doubt appeared in Tongwu's eyes. I told Tongwu about Lin Lin being robbed of her bag and falling down the steps. Today is a chance to win. If you fail, it will not only disappoint young Master Gu, but also provoke criticism from the media for no reason. Fortunately, in the end, our lawyer Chu survived. Blessed to have each other in this life, Shao, your wife is born again. Author, Hua Liao. Chapter 320. Tongwu worked for Gu Shao and saw too many ghosts and ghosts. I believed that he understood what he meant. Sure enough, after listening to Tongwu, he put away the smile on his face and asked, "What does Miss Mu want us to do?" I smiled slightly, "I'm young, so there's no such thing as Guantong. You are so experienced in handling this kind of thing. I just think that since she wants to snatch the appraisal report, then give her a report." Tong Wuxin understood and nodded. "What Miss Mu said is that I will arrange for the people under my hand to do this matter, and we will also compensate that lady named Lin Lin, and we will never let her suffer in vain. Then I will thank you on her behalf." I smiled. I bid farewell to Tongwu and took a ride to the hospital to visit Lin Lin. Not long after, Chu Mingjun, who got the news, also rushed to the hospital. Fortunately, Lin Lin is fine, but her ankle is injured, and she may not be able to walk normally for a long time and needs to recuperate. Chu Mingjun was very sorry. He felt that Lin Lin was injured on business. He took the initiative to give Lin Lin a holiday, and often went to her house to help her buy vegetables and cook. That's another story. After Gu Ershao's lawsuit ended, Xiao Jingjia was always in a trance when working. She still couldn't figure out why this plan failed. Without even the key evidence, relying on I's continuous guessing and deceit, the crime of murder was firmly pinned on the witness. This is simply unreasonable. Xiao Jingjia wanted to break her head, but in the end she only came to one conclusion, that is, I is too wicked. Could she be transformed from a monster? Otherwise, how to explain a little girl who dropped out of junior high school, suddenly became excellent in grades, and was like a fish in water in court? I is so evil and seems to be particularly interested in investigating cases. Will she investigate the cause of Suzi's death in the future? She will definitely check it out, otherwise, she wouldn't have asked herself that way last time. When Xiao Jingjia thought of this, her head hurt. Someone came in from outside the office, saying that someone was looking for her outside. Xiao Jingjia was even more irritable, thinking that the woman would not come to the procuratorate, would she? It's crazy. I just gave her money last time, and now she actually found a place to work. She really is greedy. Walked out of the office and went outside, only to find that there was only one man in the waiting area. Xiao Jingjia breathed a sigh of relief. Not that woman. But what is this man looking for? As soon as the man saw her, he showed a familiar look, and handed over a stack of documents in his hand. "Miss Xiao, I brought the things for you, when will you give me the rest of the money?" His voice was so loud that he immediately attracted the attention of passing staff. Xiao Jingjia's face changed suddenly, and she scolded angrily in a low voice, "What nonsense are you talking about? I don't know you at all. Do you recognize the wrong person?" Miss Xiao wants to turn her face and deny anyone? Didn't you ask me to find a way to get away from lawyer Chu's appraisal report? Now that I have brought you the report, you should give me money. Xiao Jingjia's face turned pale from the man's words. Her secret plan was actually uttered openly by this person. If anyone hears, "You don't have any money, do you?" The man clutched the document in his hand and slammed it on the table in the rest area, making a cracking sound. Do people who work in the procuratorate not keep their promises? What did you say back then? You can win the lawsuit by taking away the appraisal report. If you didn't win the lawsuit, you don't want to give the money, right? I can't understand a word you said. Xiao Jingjia was frightened and angry, and threatened him, Please get out of here immediately, or I will call the guards. What happened? Yu Yang walked over from behind Xiao Jingjia and looked suspiciously at the documents on the table.